I never thought in my entire life that the day before our wedding, my fiancée would be at a concert, locked in a passionate kiss with her in turn. Staring at the photo of them, lost in the moment, I felt a strange calm. I told her I wanted a divorce. Caden called me, crying, putting on a show, begging me to let it go. He said it was a moment of weakness, that he kissed Anna and it was all his fault, pleading with me not to blame her. Then I heard in his voice in the background, a gentle tone I'd never heard her use with me. She was comforting him. "Stop crying," she said. "You don't have to explain anything to him. He's just a useless freeloader. What right does he have to be angry with me?" I listened without a word. I quietly packed all my things, placed the divorce papers where she couldn't miss them, and got ready to leave. Anna didn't get home until the next morning. She was in a great mood, humming some tune I didn't recognize. The moment she saw me on the living room couch, the music stopped. "Why are you up so early?" she asked casually. I didn't answer, just stood up. That's when she noticed the suitcase next to me. Her perfect brows furrowed in disgust. "Noah, you're not a kid anymore," she snapped. "Can you stop being so childish?" Anna never had any patience for me. The slightest hint of my unhappiness, and she'd lecture me in that exasperated tone, telling me not to act like a child. In the past, just to keep her from getting angry, I would have immediately apologized and tried to smooth things over, even if I'd done nothing wrong. But now, I was done being her doormat. As I finished packing my last few things, I pulled the printed divorce agreement from my bag and slapped it on the table. "Since you're back," I said flatly, "you should sign this. We can go to the courthouse when you have time." Anna, who had been walking toward the bathroom, paused. Her voice was full of indifference. "Is this really about a single photo, Noah? Are you seriously going to divorce me over this?" She then had the audacity to blame me. Because of your call, Caden cried in my office for half an hour. How can a grown man like you be so petty with a kid? Caden wasn't just Anna's personal assistant. He was also a younger student from her alma mater, Parsons. He was handsome, a smooth talker, and had that youthful romantic energy that perfectly matched every fantasy Anna had for a partner. They were practically inseparable, at work and after. I shot back coldly. "He's a kid. He doesn't know any better. What's your excuse?" My question made her look away, the impatience on her face deepening. That was always her move. Silence was her weapon whenever I cornered her. A bitter smile formed on my lips. I couldn't believe I'd held on to any hope at all. Seeing me actually grab my suitcase and head for the door, Anna's paper-thin patience finally snapped. "Noah, I'm warning you, don't push it," she yelled. "You're going to go apologize to Caden right now, and we'll forget this ever happened. If you don't, you'll regret it." I couldn't help but laugh. He kissed my fiancée, and I'm the one who has to apologize? What am I, the world's biggest chump? Anna's face turned ugly. She warned me through gritted teeth, "I'll say this one last time. Either you go apologize to Caden, or you get the hell out of my family's house. And don't forget, you have nothing in this city. Everything you have is because of the Carters. Without me, you don't even have a place to sleep." Her voice was cold and dripping with contempt. I frowned, a wave of sadness washing over me. She was so sure of herself, so certain I was just putting on a show because she knew I had nowhere else to go. My hand on the suitcase handle trembled. A deep sense of powerlessness enveloped me. She was right. I was an orphan. In this massive city, I truly had nothing. Thinking she had me figured out, Anna's face darkened and her tone grew harsher. "Noah, I'm Busa. I have a mountain of work to deal with. And don't you forget, you only got to where you are today because of my family. Any other time, I would have already been groveling, begging for her forgiveness. But now, looking at the woman I had loved for 3 whole years, she felt like a complete stranger. She was still as captivating as ever, but everything had soured. The wedding tomorrow is off," I told her seriously. "Or you could just marry Caden instead." As I walked out, I added, "Don't forget to sign the papers." The moment I closed the door, I heard the sharp sound of glass shattering against the wall, followed by her hysterical screams. "Go on, leave, and don't you dare regret it. This wedding will happen without you. Let's see where a loser like you can crawl to without the Carters." Even though I had made my decision, Her cruel words tore my heart to shreds. 3 years of love, and in her eyes, I was just a loser, a parasite living off her family. I dragged my suitcase downstairs, looked up at the gray, overcast sky, and felt my heart ache with every beat. I met Anna in college. We were both design students at Parsons, only she was at the top of our class, a certified genius. Back then, she was so radiant you couldn't look away. No one could resist her charm, and I was no exception. But I was just a poor kid on a work-study program, while she was the campus queen and an heiress. All I could do was bury my feelings deep inside. It wasn't until after graduation, when the company I joined started doing business with the brand she founded, that we found common ground. As our collaboration deepened, her fashion label started making a name for itself. I finally understood why an heiress like her would work so hard to build something from scratch. She said she just wanted to prove herself to her family. But then, just as she was being hailed as the industry's new rising star, disaster struck. A friend betrayed her, and her designs were falsely accused of plagiarism. Overnight, her company was mired in scandal, and its stock plummeted. To make matters worse, she had crossed some shady people and was now saddled with a massive debt. Some of them even tried to force her into paying it back with her body. Anna flatly refused their disgusting demands, which only enraged them. They threatened to ruin her face. When the blade came swinging at her, I didn't hesitate for a second. I threw myself in front of her. The sharp steel sliced through the back of my hand, severing the tendons. Anna was unharmed, but I had to say goodbye to the design world forever. My hand could no longer hold a pen. No company would hire a crippled designer. During my time in the hospital, she cried nonstop, holding me tight and swearing, "Noah, I will never let you down. As soon as you're better, as soon as this is all over, we'll get married." I held on to that promise for 3 long years. After that incident, the Carter family, afraid she'd get into more trouble, couldn't bear to see her struggling on her own. For the first time, she compromised with her family and agreed to get involved in their finance empire. Anna was a natural. Within a few years of returning to Carter Holdings with her team, she secured her position as the head of the design department and even launched her own personal brand under their umbrella. But because of me, the Carters always held a grudge. I came from a modest background, an orphan, and now I was disabled. They felt I was completely unworthy of Anna and refused to accept me. But back then, she stood firmly by my side, refusing to budge on the issue of our marriage, even threatening to cut ties with her family. Eventually, the Carters relented and agreed to the wedding, but with 3 conditions. I was not allowed to work at Carter Holdings, I could not use my status as their son-in-law for personal gain, and if we ever divorced, I would not receive a single penny of the Carter family's assets. I agreed without a moment's hesitation. As long as I could be with her, a little humiliation was worth it. Anna held my trembling hand, nestled in my arms, and promised me she would always be mine and mine alone. To prevent her parents from changing their minds, she dragged me to City Hall to get legally married right away, but the wedding ceremony itself was postponed again and again. She said she wanted to give me a grand celebration to announce our relationship to the world on the day of the Carter Holdings annual gala, which was supposed to be tomorrow. I had been filled with anticipation, but reality slapped me hard across the face. Caden's arrival changed everything. He was cunning. A few sweet words, calling her by her first name, and he had Anna wrapped around his finger. By the time I realized something was wrong, it was too late. The woman I loved no longer had any love for me in her eyes. Maybe Anna and I were a mistake from the very beginning. Maybe even from that accident 3 years ago. Now, I was in a doctor's office, consulting about getting a prosthetic. While waiting for the specialist, a notification popped up on my phone with a bombshell headline: Design Genius Anna Carter's Wedding of the Century with her true love. At the same time, my phone rang. It was Anna. "Noah, the wedding is about to start. Where the hell are you? There's a time and place for tantrums. Every major figure in the city is here. Are you trying to publicly humiliate my family?" Even though I'd told myself I was over it, her words still felt like a knife in my gut. So, in her mind, I was less important than her precious reputation. I didn't say anything. I just hung up. A few moments later, another notification. I clicked on the live stream on the Carter Holdings website. The first thing I saw was Anna and Caden exchanging rings. The camera zoomed in as they shared a deep, passionate kiss. The host gushed to the audience. May all lovers find their way from college sweatshirts to tuxedos, from campus to the altar. The scene didn't look out of place at all. And why would it? Anna and I had been together for 3 years, but the Carters, concerned with appearances, had never allowed us to go public. No one even knew what Anna's real fiancé looked like. I laughed, but tears streamed down my face. On the screen, their intertwined hands were a blinding sight. It turned out she was never really mine. It turned out 3 short years was enough to change a person completely. Just then my phone buzzed incessantly. It was a message from Caden. He sent a series of intimate photos of himself and Anna. Their wedding photos, a family portrait with the Carters. Anyone would look at them and praise what a loving couple they were. The screen was filled with his gloating and provocation. The message was clear. The wedding I had waited 3 years for, the acceptance from her family I had yearned for, Caden got it all effortlessly. All because he was obedient, a smooth talker, and knew how to please them. Maybe that's why he was the perfect son-in-law in the Carters' eyes. After all, the Carters didn't need more money. They needed an obedient dog. Out of sight, out of mind. I blocked Caden. But a second later, a call from Anna came through. I answered instinctively. Before I could speak, her voice, sharp and accusatory, filled my ear. Noah, are you done with your drama? I haven't even dealt with you for ditching the wedding. And now you're taking it out on Caden? Do you have any idea that if he hadn't stepped in to save the day, I would have been the laughingstock of the entire city? Her tirade left me stunned. It took me a moment to realize Caden must have run to her the second I blocked him. A deep exhaustion washed over me, a feeling of powerlessness spreading through my entire body. I'm not making a scene, I said calmly. In fact, I'm happy for you both. Hearing the calmness in my voice, Anna's tone softened slightly. Don't misunderstand. I had Caden call you. Remember to come to the family dinner tonight. Mom and Dad are furious about what you did today. You need to explain yourself to them in person. Without a second thought, I refused. No need. It's a family dinner. I'm an outsider. I won't intrude. My words set her off immediately. Her voice shot up. This wedding was just for show. You will always be my husband. Running away from home over a small issue is one thing, but you have to come to this dinner. How ridiculous. The wedding that was supposed to be mine had a different groom, and Anna not only ignored it, but expected me to accept it calmly and then attend the so-called celebration dinner. I had to admit, she didn't care about my feelings at all. I could faintly hear her father's cold voice in the background, something about the dinner starting. Noah, I'm warning you, Anna said, her voice now hard. Your selfish actions today have already damaged the Carter family's reputation. You'd better cooperate and show up soon, or don't blame me for what happens next. Don't blame her for what happens next. My grip on the phone tightened. I didn't want to argue with her anymore. Anna, I don't want to be your husband anymore. Remember to find time to finalize the divorce so I can make room for him. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end. Then Anna's forceful voice came through. As long as we're not divorced, you are Anna Carter's husband. If you don't show up for dinner tonight, you can forget about a divorce. With that, she hung up. The live stream camera panned to show her and Caden, hand in hand, making their way through the crowd to greet the guests. The comments section was flooded with praise for the picture-perfect couple. I quietly closed the live stream. After finalizing the surgery plan and schedule with my doctor that afternoon, I went home. The thought of Anna dragging her feet on the divorce papers was a problem. After much consideration, I decided to go to the dinner. I needed to end things with her, once and for all. When I arrived at the Carter-owned hotel, the place was buzzing with activity. Wedding posters of Anna and Caden were plastered all over the lobby. They had managed to get wedding photos done in a single day. I didn't know whether to be impressed by the Carter family's wealth or to assume they had this planned all along. The moment I pushed the door to the private dining room open, the laughter and chatter inside died. Anna saw me and shot up from her seat. Noah, you're here. Come, seat. All eyes turned to me, standing at the doorway. The Carters all looked displeased. their faces filled with contempt. I didn't move. Sign the divorce papers, and I'll leave immediately, I said, getting straight to the point. I won't disturb your family reunion. The words had barely left my mouth when a teacup flew through the air and shattered at my feet. I looked up and met Mr. Carter's cold, furious eyes. He never bothered to hide his disgust for me. You dare mention divorce? He seethed. Have you forgotten who's been feeding you all these years, you ungrateful parasite? Faced with this scene, everyone else just watched, as if it were a familiar show. I looked at Anna. She just frowned, not saying a word to defend me, as if determined to let me learn my lesson. At that moment, my heart turned completely to ice. Seeing me remain silent, as usual, Mr. Carter's verbal abuse escalated. You think you're hot stuff just because you married into the Carter family? If it weren't for the fact that you helped Anna once, you would never have even stepped foot in our world. And you dare to skip the wedding? Are you trying to bring shame upon my family? Mr. Carter grew more agitated as he spoke, even looking like he was about to get up and hit me. Mrs. Carter, beside him, patted his back to calm him down while glaring at me. If Anna wasn't so stubborn about you, I would have kicked you out long ago. You're just low-class trash. A disgrace to men. Just then, Caden spoke up with false sincerity. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, please don't be angry. Noah is disabled, after all. It's understandable that he'd be afraid of public appearances. He probably ran away because he was scared of embarrassing the family. His words sounded like he was defending me, but every sentence was a jab, rubbing salt in my wounds and pointing out my flaws. The mocking gazes of the others swept over me. The Carters didn't even try to hide their contempt, looking at me like I was something filthy. I had endured those looks for 3 years. In the past, for that hollow promise, I chose to ignore them. But today I was done. Seeing her father and grandmother genuinely enraged, Anna started to look uncomfortable. She came over to my side, tugged gently on my sleeve, and whispered, "Just apologize. Don't make a scene." I violently shook her hand off. I was done being silent. I stepped forward, grabbed a teapot from the table, and walked straight toward them. Today, I'll show you what a real man is. And while I'm at it, I'll wash out that filthy mouth of yours, old man. I lunged forward, grabbed Mr. Carter by the collar, and without a word, shoved the teapot spout into his mouth. The scalding tea made him yelp, his face instantly turning beet red. He mumbled incoherently, "You're crazy? Noah, you dare do this to me." Caden saw what was happening and rushed over to stop me. I tossed the teapot aside, turned, and landed a solid punch on his face. "You're proud of yourself for marrying another man's wife, aren't you? Eager to be the homewrecker. Today, I'll show you what happens to guys like you." With that, I kicked him to the ground, got on top of him, and started punching him like a madman, unleashing all the frustration and anger that had been building up inside me. Anna was terrified by my crazed state and screamed for the butler to pull me off. I managed to land a few more punches on Caden. While struggling with the butler, I accidentally stomped hard on his hand. Caden lay on the ground, clutching his throat, unable to get up. The Carters all rushed to his side, fussing over him. The sight enraged Mrs. Carter, who started screaming at me. "You crippled psycho. How dare you cause a scene at a Carter family dinner? A divorce. We must get a divorce." I didn't hold back. I shoved her, and she fell right into the 5-tiered cake behind her. The room erupted in screams. "You like to scream, huh? I'll give you something to scream about." Cream splattered everywhere, covering the surrounding guests and making them look ridiculous. Mrs. Carter was on the floor, clutching her back, unable to get up. Taking advantage of the chaos, I flipped the dining table. Dishes and food crashed to the floor. The waiters in the room were stunned, frozen in place. Thinking back on all the humiliation I had endured over the years, I felt this wasn't nearly enough. The Carters are all about appearances, right? You think I'm an embarrassment? I strode to the hotel entrance, where reporters were still lingering, and yelled, "Hey everyone, I've got a huge story for you." I stepped aside to clear a path for them. I'm actually Anna Carter's legal husband. As for the guy she married today, I didn't have to finish. The reporters were sharp. They immediately understood and swarmed in, surrounding Caden with questions. "Are you the other man? Why would you marry a woman who's already married? Isn't the Carter family afraid of becoming a laughingstock? Caden was still moaning on the floor. Hearing the questions, he covered his face and yelled at them to leave. Anna, too busy to explain, shouted for security to get the reporters out. But it was too late. The mess in the room and the pathetic state of the Carters had all been captured on camera. Our eyes met. As she glared at me with fire in her eyes, I smiled. That felt good. So good. I've waited 3 years for this day. Mrs. Carter helped her feet, clutched her chest, her lips trembling. Anna, you divorce him right now. Letting this psycho into our family has tainted our bloodline. I didn't waste any more words. I threw the divorce papers I had prepared in front of them again. Sign it. I can't wait. Mr. Carter immediately pressured Anna to agree, but she, in a surprising turn, tore the papers to shreds. Noah, I understand you're upset today, but Caden is innocent. What if you seriously injured him? Apologize to my parents and to Caden, and we can still be a family. I looked at her coldly, finding her current act utterly laughable. The reporters have already seen everything. This divorce is happening. If you won't sign, we'll go through the courts. With that, I strode out of the room, feeling a sense of freedom I had never known. Anna chased after me, ignoring her family's protests, and blocked my way. Noah, that's enough. Come back with me right now. I glanced at her and laughed mockingly. Anna, I never realized what a great actress you are. You were just publicly kissing Caden, and now you're here playing the devoted wife. Anna denied it, but she stammered and couldn't form a coherent sentence. I said coldly, You know, Anna, you seem really cheap right now. The word cheap hit her hard. She, who had always been so proud, just stood there stunned. I didn't bother with her anymore and left the hotel without a word to anyone. I went to the hospital alone and had the surgery. The surgeon's skill was beyond my expectations. When I saw my fingers fully restored, tears welled up in my eyes. I had finally taken the first brave step. From now on, I was going to live for myself. After a period of recovery, I started looking for a job. The truth is, during those years of recovery, to avoid being seen as a burden, I had never stopped working. I never gave up on my craft and had secretly created many design drafts. While my grades in college weren't as stellar as Anna's, and I wasn't as versatile, I knew I could still make a living in this field. I quickly found a position at a small design firm. When I showed them my portfolio, the hiring manager hired me on the spot. It was in that moment that I realized I actually had a talent for design. That accident had sent me into a long depression. The mocking looks from everyone around me had trapped me in a cycle of self-doubt, making me believe I was destined for failure. Back then, Anna, not wanting me to suffer or be judged by others, had respected my decision to step back, and I had grown accustomed to hiding in her shadow. But who would have thought that the greatest pain would come from her and from the people around her? Now, with my hand healed, I was slowly adjusting to a new life. After that disastrous family dinner, Carter Holdings was trending on Twitter again. The so-called wedding of the century had become the joke of the high society circle. Anna continued to call me relentlessly every day. I ignored them all. Then, one day, she showed up at my door, having found the apartment I was renting. When she saw me, Anna first froze, then her eyes filled with a mix of surprise and hurt. Noah, where have you been? Why haven't you been answering my calls? She reached out to grab my arm, but I stepped back, neatly avoiding her touch. I scoffed. Where I go is none of your business, is it? You'd be better off spending this time signing the divorce papers. Perhaps because work had consumed my life lately, standing here talking to her felt surreal, like we were from different worlds. Your hand. Anna suddenly noticed my fingers. I had surgery, I said flatly. It's a prosthetic, but at least it makes life easier. I subconsciously touched the scar on the back of my hand. A faint ache was still there. As if remembering something, Anna suddenly asked, So, does this mean you can start designing again? I didn't answer directly, just gave a slight nod. Seeing my cold demeanor, Anna looked awkward. The air between us grew heavy. After a long silence, Anna broke it. My mom was hospitalized the other day. I've been taking care of her. She keeps talking about wanting grandchildren. Noah, can we get back together? In all the years I'd known her, this was the first time she had ever backed down. I just didn't know how much of it was genuine. But at this point, I didn't want to know and I didn't care. Anna, I said seriously, we're not just having a fight. I am divorcing you. I've started a new life. My answer clearly wasn't what she wanted to hear. My company has a top-tier design team, she argued. Since you want to start over with your talent, you could come back and help me. We don't have to separate. We don't have to get a divorce. We could be like we were before, gonna work together, coming home together. I cut her fantasy short. We can't go back. Anna, I'm happy with my job now, and I have no desire to go back to that so-called home. Why? Anna looked dazed, confused. Is it still because of that photo? You made your scene. I even convinced my parents and Caden not to blame you. What more do you want from me? Even now, she naively thought I was just throwing a tantrum, that a few sweet words would fix everything. Seeing my silence, Anna thought she was getting through to me and started rambling. Is our 3-year relationship worth less than a single photograph? There's really nothing between me and Caden. That wedding was fake. Enough. I cut her off sharply. Anna, do you really take me for an idiot? The pre-made wedding posters, the photos of you two kissing, even your parents' open admiration for him. Ever since Caden showed up, you used admiring his talent as an excuse to get closer to him, constantly testing my limits, until you became infatuated with him. You enjoy this feeling, don't you? Having someone who's on your wavelength. Each of these things was a nightmare that had been suffocating me. I let it all out, venting all my resentment and hatred for her. Every time you looked at me, that look of disgust and contempt was excruciating. You swore you would never betray me, but what happened? You and your family call me a cripple. You gave the wedding you promised me to another man without a second thought. And in the end, you call me petty. You say I'm being unreasonable. Anna seemed shocked that I would so bluntly expose her thoughts, shocked that I had so much resentment bottled up inside. She froze, looking guilty. After a long moment, she finally spoke, her voice trembling. Noah, I never despised you. I really do just admire Caden. It's because he's so much like you were. Seeing him reminds me of how we used to be. As for the wedding, it was only because I didn't want the Carter family to be humiliated in front of all those reporters. I had no choice. I looked at her desperate attempts to explain herself with pure scorn. I thought about how, ever since Caden appeared, I had become a burden to her. My very existence was a constant reminder of the debt she owed me, that she couldn't just abandon me. Yet her heart was drawn to someone else. So she used my unreasonableness as an excuse to let Caden mock me, knowing full well that I couldn't leave her, that I had nothing and had to swallow my pride to seek shelter by her side. It was only at this moment that Anna finally realized that the divorce I kept talking about wasn't a joke. She suddenly broke down, clutching her head and sobbing. I just watched her, my face blank. From a distance, Caden saw something was wrong and came running over. Anna, are you okay? He reached out to wipe her tears, but Anna shoved him away. Don't touch me. Stay away from me. This is between my husband and me. It has nothing to do with you. Hearing this, Caden's face went pale. He awkwardly pulled his hand back. As if a thought suddenly struck her, Anna looked up, her eyes red and accusing. Is it because you've fallen for someone else? Is that why you're so insistent on divorcing me, without giving me a single chance? A loud slap echoed in the air. It was the first time I had ever hit Anna. Her baseless accusation, her refusal to see the truth, had pushed me over the edge. Anna, don't project your own filthy thoughts onto others. I'm divorcing you purely because of you. Without waiting for a response, I turned and slammed the door shut, ignoring her desperate pleas from the other side. But I had underestimated Anna's persistence. After that night, she didn't give up. She found out where I worked. Every day, like clockwork, she would have flowers and lunch delivered to my desk. She would wait for me after work every single day, whether I acknowledged her or not. Anna tirelessly did things she thought would win me back. My colleagues teased me about my luck with women, but I just found it incredibly annoying. Until one evening, as I was opening my apartment door, Anna jumped out from nowhere and slipped inside. She had been waiting for me. She had bought a ton of groceries, saying she wanted to cook me a meal. I was about to refuse, but she promised she would sign the divorce papers after we ate. I reluctantly agreed. Anna, who had never cooked in her life, was clumsy in the kitchen. She followed a recipe, and after a flurry of activity, she actually managed to produce 3 dishes and a soup. They didn't look half bad. After setting the table, she looked at me with pleading eyes. Her hands, which I once treasured, were covered in blisters from the hot pans. I glanced at them coldly and said nothing. She got the hint and stopped trying to win my sympathy. The meal was quick. I didn't say a word, though she seemed to want to speak several times. The moment we finished, I told her to leave. But then, Anna started making a scene. She threw her arms around me, crying, "Noah, I'm so sorry. I know I didn't appreciate you before, but I'm pregnant with your child. You can't leave me." My heart skipped a beat. I turned and looked at her in shock, finally understanding the real purpose of this dinner. Wiping her tears, Anna pulled out a doctor's report. "I just found out. I'm carrying your child. Can we raise him together?" I stared at her, and after a long moment, I shook my head with a bitter smile. "The child isn't mine. You should get an abortion. I'm infertile. I know this for a fact. Besides, you and I haven't been intimate in a very long time." "What?" Anna's eyes widened in disbelief. "Noah, are you even a man?" she screamed. "That's our child." She lunged at me, clawing at me like a madwoman. "It's a living being. How can you be so heartless?" My face was a mask of indifference. I was trying to give her one last shred of dignity. "Anna, we're divorced. A child is not a tool to trap someone in a relationship." But Anna wouldn't let go. "Noah, I don't want to leave you. I would never use our child as a tool. I'll be a good mother. Please, let's not get divorced." I tried to get away from her, but I slipped. My body became unstable, and the back of my head hit the wall hard. The world started spinning. My vision blurred. I dug my nails into my thigh to stay conscious. "Noah, what's wrong?" Anna was terrified. She rushed to help me up, but she moved too quickly and knocked over a bowl of soup on the table. Amid screams, I stumbled backward. The intense dizziness was too much. I instinctively reached out to grab something, but I ended up pulling the tablecloth, dishes, and everything else down with me. I slipped on a mess and fell hard. My injured hand landed right on a piece of broken ceramic. The sharp pain jolted me back to full consciousness. Seeing the blood on the floor, Anna panicked even more. She didn't dare come near me, just stood there crying. I managed to pull myself together enough to call 911.